Codependency can keep you bound in toxic, exhausting, dead-end relationships that you see no way out of. And because codependency often forms in childhood, you have no idea that you're running these codependent patterns. Hi, I'm Jess Coleman, spiritual teacher, counselor, and channel. In this video, you'll learn what codependency is, where it stems from, and what it looks like in relationships. I guarantee you've heard the word codependent and maybe even wondered if you are codependent, right? Codependency often gets misused and misdiagnosed, but if you do get to the root of true codependency, it can be transformational in your relationships. So what is codependency? Codependency happens when a person's thinking and behavior is based around another person, purpose, or substance. A codependent forgoes their needs and emotions to fulfill someone else. Codependency, whether subtle or not, impacts the overall relationship dynamics, whether it is the trust, attachment issues, or an overall feeling of instability. The person with the codependency ends up being angry and resentful at the person they give their power over to because they compromise their voice, their needs, and their values. So the million-dollar question is, how does codependency start? Where does it come from? There is usually an overprotective, underprotective, or addictive parental figure that influences the development in early stages of childhood. When you have healthy childhood dynamics, you learn to be secure. When you come from a toxic, neglectful home where you're constantly on eggshells and you don't know if you're safe, and you give up your identity, which, remember, in childhood you're forming your identity. So when you give those pieces up to make sure that your parent or your guardians are not angry, yelling, hurt, you basically are losing your identity to make sure that theirs is acknowledged. And when you're developing from 0 to 7, there's tons of impact on your subconscious programming. And as an adult, you're then running that programming, and that toxic environment is what's running the show. One thing I want to point out with codependency is the term is often misused, and there's labels put on relationships and different dynamics that aren't codependent. They're a matter of nurturing and caring that get labeled as codependent. An example of this would be a mother that's worried about her child who is addicted to alcohol, addicted to drugs, has some kind of addiction, and the mother worries about the child. The mother may give the child money, or maybe the child needs shelter. The mother lets the child stay. These are not codependent behaviors. They become codependent behaviors when the mother exceedingly gives the child money, when the mother exceedingly gives the child shelter. You cannot fault a mother or any kind of parental figure for wanting to be there for their child. So it is not codependent to want to support your child. It's when the behaviors become imbalanced that you can call it a codependent dynamic. That goes for relationships as well. It isn't codependent to want your partner to support you, even though you're very proficient and able to give yourself support. Everybody needs support. Everybody wants a loving, healthy dynamic in relationship. So it isn't a codependent or a codependency if you want support from other people, family, friends, different relationships. Some of the key factors for noticing your codependencies or your partner's codependencies: lack of voice, never saying no. You are a complete yes person, and no does not enter your vocabulary, even when that means that you may be angry and resentful underneath. You will always say yes. Needing to have reassurance from your partner or needing to give reassurance to your partner, you will always put their needs before yours, or most likely, most of the time, their needs will come first. Even though there's imbalance and you feel like you're doing everything, you will do those things and not say anything because you won't want to rock the boat. Another key factor is you will find your self-worth through your partner. So your partner will need to validate you, or vice versa. You will need to validate them in a codependent relationship. So you will not feel good about yourself unless they are telling you, you look beautiful, your jeans look great on you, you did such a good job cleaning the bathroom. Whatever the praise is, it's going to be that they are validating that you did it well enough. And if they don't, you start to slip into a depression. Those resentment feelings come up, the anger feelings come up, and you just start feeling like you're not getting your validation met. You'll also feel like there's a ton of anxiety because you won't want to upset the other person. So you'll be in your head thinking of ways to fix things that haven't even been broken yet. An example of this would be coming up with an excuse why you didn't get the dishes done before they got home, or coming up with a reason that you had to work late. You're always pre-gaming in your head about what and why you didn't do something you think they expect of you. And if you look at that pattern and then you go back to your childhood, I guarantee you're going to find correlations about how you were answering to your parents before you even walked in the door, because you knew there was going to be a shit show if you didn't have the correct answers and you weren't doing what they expected of you. One of the other things I wanted to touch upon, and the reason I'm doing this series and starting with codependency, is because if you're in a dynamic where one person is always chasing the other person for approval and to feel good about themselves, it creates this patterning. If you're in a relationship and a partner cheats, oftentimes what happens is somebody is empty because their needs aren't getting met, their voice isn't being heard, and they don't know how to get those things to be cohesive so that they feel whole. So they're always looking for things outside themselves, and one person is not going to be enough to sustain that empty well. The person that's empty will start looking for validation outside of the partnership because they need constant validation and reassurance. So when that person goes and they're looking for someone to fulfill their emptiness, the person in the partnership that's being betrayed feels like they're not enough, starts chasing the partner that is betraying and going outside of the relationship to get them back in. And the relationship generally will end up plummeting because there's no trust left. And if there's no trust, there's no foundation. The person that stepped outside the relationship has issues underlying of codependency and self-worth. And in this dynamic, you probably have codependency patterning yourself. Please do not think I'm saying if you're in a relationship with someone that's unfaithful or emotionally unavailable that you are doing something wrong. I am not trying to say that whatsoever. What I am saying is I do believe in the law of attraction and energetic frequency. If you can get a handle on your patterning that's running subconsciously in the background, I guarantee you that you will not be in similar relationships that you're in now in the future. There's no room in your energy for things of that nature when you change your awareness and you shift. This was my first video trying to be brave. Please be kind. If you're interested in my upcoming classes, please see the links below. For new content that will not be posted on YouTube, find me on Instagram and Facebook. The links are going to be below. If you feel guided and like this information was helpful, go ahead and hit like and subscribe. Please feel free to share my content. as I am new, and all of your shares and engagement will help my channel grow. Thank you. I'll see you next week.